From yesterday. Daf Yomi. So we discussed one who forgets his smaller measurement. So if he forgets his smaller measurement and then he changed his mind, so we say that he didn't change his mind, he just forgot what his smaller measurement was. So then he goes with the regular shear. Then a person's das goes with the majority l'chumra, meaning we call that batla daita yetzel kolodim. Meaning even if you decide you want to carry out your whole house, you're still. Can you hear me? Because the air conditioner too loud. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Person's das goes with the majority l'chumra, but not l'kula. Meaning if you decide to carry out your whole house, you're still going to be chayav on each individual thing. And Shimon Elazar says that measurements go with the object of the individual. That's why if one guy decides to be machmer, if one guy decides to be mekel, then even somebody who's machmer who carries out that object that the person was, that decided to carry out a smaller amount, then he's going to be chayiv. Changing mind in the middle of carrying it out. So meaning if you carried something for eating, which is a dried fig, the measurement, then you change your mind, you want to use it for planting. So we had that teku, all the shilas, right? And then we had on the bottom of the Amud, does the measurement for Shabbos change based on other requirements of Tumah? Meaning Tumah, the shear is a kebeya. Shabbos, it's a groigris. Would it change based on that? And on the base, then we continue that, and then we discuss if the food was thrown back into the storage house, then it becomes, it loses its individual measurement and goes back to its original shear. And then we had the Mishna putting food on a threshold, putting a box of food halfway into public property. And then we explanation of what the pshat on the threshold was, and then we said, and this is what we're taking it up now, machlokes if it's large vegetables or small seeds. Meaning, okay, so let's just the Mishna on Sadi Aleph Amud Beis had said that if you have a box, if you take a box of food and you put it onto the threshold, so half of it is in Rosh Hashanah, half of it's not. So we said until the entire box goes into Rosh Hashanah, it's not. You're not chayiv. So then we had a machlokes. Is that talking about? Oh, I even have show and tell. Is it talking about a long freeze pop right here, which is losing its freezing as we speak, right? So if it's a long thing, so then I understand one end is in Rosh Hashanah and one is not, right? But if it's mustard seeds, the ones that are on the Rosh Hashanah end, which we still say, they're all totally in Rosh Hashanah, right? So do we count that or do we not? Right. So that's where the Gemara left off. So we have a machlokes between Reb Yochanan and who was it? Reb Yochanan, Chizkiah. Reb Yochanan and Chizkiah had a disagreement about that. So that's the case that we're talking about. So now we're up to Meisvei. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines up from the bottom. Last word on the line. Yeah, Meisvei. Starts with Meisvei Hamaitzi Kupas Haroichla. Yeah, we have it. So let me just fix my phone over here. Okay, so Meisvei, Harmoitzi Kupas Reichlin. So they asked the kasha that if you take out a box of the Reichlin of the peddlers, which has all sorts of objects in it, we had this 2 days ago, and you put it on the outer stoop. Even though most of the objects are on the outside, meaning again, half the box is in Rosh Hashanah, half is not. Right? So and there are many different objects in there. So even though half are there and half are not, still b'chutz potter actually color kupa. You're potter until you take out the whole box. Right? So kasakadait the tzrari, we thought we're talking about tzrari, which is like small. How does Rashi say it here? Tzrari is like small. I don't know the way to type it exactly, but it would be small objects, right? Little spices. That's what the roichel really takes out spices. Assuming they were small, kasha lechisi, it's going to be a kasha on Chizki who says that if it's mustard seeds, you're going to be chayiv because the entire mustard seed is outside. So no, we're talking about where it's bigger things, right? Long, like we said, like something very long, like this freeze pop here. That's there. We would say that's what that case is talking about. fine. But theoretically, if it would be small little seeds, then you would be chayiv at least on the seeds that are on the outside. Okay. So Maser Rabbi Bar Abaya Hagoynev Kis b'Shabbos chayiv. Somebody who steals a wallet on Shabbos is chayiv. Shekvar neschayiv b'geneva kardim shiyavli de assur Shabbos. Meaning, there's a rule called kumle b'derabim minei. Meaning, which is that if you do something at one time that has two punishments, so you're only going to get the stricter one, right? So if you steal a wallet and carry it out to the street on Shabbos, let's say, okay, I don't want to get into the looting, but you loot on Shabbos, right? Now you carried it out from the store into the Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos. So now you did two things wrong. One, you stole. Two, you machal Shabbos, and you are chayiv. You're chayiv kares or misa, depending on how it went down, right? So therefore, you should be potter, since you're going to be chayiv. You should get the punishment of the more strict one, which is misa or kares, right? And then therefore you're going to be potter on the geneva. So, but this Brisa says, "Hagoynev kis b'Shabbos chayiv." If you steal a wallet on Shabbos, you're going to be chayiv. Why? Shekarnas chayiv b'geneva kardim sheoli de assur Shabbos. Because right when you picked it up, you're going to be chayiv for geneva. That came first. Then when you carried it out to Rosh Hashanah, that came afterwards. So they were not at the same time. So therefore you're going to be chayiv for both. But if you dragged it out, let's say it was a flat screen TV, you couldn't lift it up. So you dragged it out. Then you're going to be potter. Sharei assur geneva, assur Shabbos ba'in ke'echad. Then you're going to be potter on the geneva because the assur of the geneva came at the exact same time as the chilul Shabbos. Right when you dragged it out of the guy's property, then it became yours, and also that's when you're chayev out going from Shusayot to Shusaram.
Because Mishna over Akbar.
What? Yeah. Mishna over Akbar. Right. So then he says, so and if you say, like the Mandomer that said, although this is a kash on both, that you say that anything that's in a box is considered all part of one box, and we don't look at it as individuals, so then the assur geneva is going to come before the assur Shabbos, right? Because since part of the one, when are you chayiv assur Shabbos? Only once the entire box goes out of the property. When are you going to be chayiv for geneva? When part of it, you're going to be kainit for the geneva first. So the geneva is going to come first, and then it's going to come to chilul Shabbos, right? If you drag it. And again, you have to assume two things. One, you're dragging it, and two, that we say that everything in the box gets included in the box, right? So if you're dragging it, since everything is included in the box, you're kind of the entire box first, and then the chilul Shabbos, doesn't happen until you take everything out. So Gemara answers, if he took it out, the opening first, then you're right. Where he took it out from the bottom of the box. The bottom of the box came out first, right? So therefore, there was no way for him to be kind of agbah, because there's no way for him to get to it, because he took it out. He took it out upside down. So he's not kind of it until he has the access to it, which means he has to turn it right side up, and that came after he took it to Shusharam. So therefore, both happened at the same time. So therefore, he's potter. But there is the makaim chelma, which is the ibay mafkale b'shakal, where it's talking about where he could bust it open. Yeah, meaning just because he took it out with the bottom. Just because he took it out with the bottom first doesn't mean he can't break a hole in it, right? Stitching, right? The stitching on the bottom of the box. Well, he's talking about a kiss. It's a wallet. So the stitching on the bottom. So why can't he just slice the stitching? Again, chelma stitching, the ibay mafkale, the shakel. He could take it out that way. So the Gemara says, benascha. So we're talking about, it was very large pieces, and there would be no way to take it out like that. Right? So, and the Gemara asks, so since there are schnitzen, which are like strings, right? Mapikle ad pume b'shari, right? He could take out the thing until the mouth, and then it would be V'shari v'shogam, and then loosen it and take it out that way. V'shnitzen agidi megavai, the leka. So I'm sorry. V'shnitzen agidi megavai, and the shnitzen are wrapped up on the outside. I'm sorry, on the inside, right?
It's not the strings, the drawstrings.
It's a drawstring, right? So yeah, the drawstring. Meaning why can't he take it out with the meaning the drawstrings are very long. So maybe he could, even though he's taking it out backwards, but he can somehow loosen up the drawstrings and get the stuff out that way. So the Gemara answers a simple answer, the leka shnitzen. It's talking about where there's no drawstrings, right? But theoretically, if it would be drawstrings, then you wouldn't have this situation. Viva is saying, well, you could say the islay, but it does have drawstrings. Umakarchi ilave, or it's talking about where it was wrapped up on top. They weren't hanging on there; it was just wrapped up there. And Rava said the same thing. It's only talking about a box that was full of cucumbers and gourds. But if it's full of mustard seeds, then it's chayev. Alma kasavar eged kli lo shmei eged. So therefore, you see that Rava also holds that anything in a kli is not considered eged, and therefore you look at it each individual. So if it's a long thing, then it's part of it's around, part of it's just a yachid, so you're not going to be chayev. But if it's chardal, since a box does not consider everything as one entity, and therefore you're not going to be you're going to be chayev if you have small mustard seeds. Even if it's full of chardal's potter. So Abaya holds he holds that if anything's in a kli, it's considered one big box, and until the entire box is Rosh Hashanah, you're not chayav. So basically now the machlokes that we had between Chizkiya and Rabbi Yochanan is now a machlokes between Rava and Abaya. Then then the Gemara says something interesting. So come Abaya b'shitase de Rava, and come Rava b'shitase de Abaya. They switched. Rava decided, he changed his mind, and he decided he's going to pass like Abaya. And Abaya changed his mind, decided to go with Rava. Right? If one decided to do it, okay, so you hear one came around to the other, but it's interesting that they swapped. Right? So then the Gemara says, Barami da Abaya da Abaya, Barami da Rava da Rava. Why don't we could ask a kasha of Abaya and Abaya. What? What do you say?
They're both learning Musa say they're both. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
they're both learning Musa say.
Yeah, so in Mela they decided to go with the other shita. So then the Gemara says, so let's ask a stira. We learned that if somebody carries out fruit Rosh Hashanah, Abaya Omer biyad chayev, the kli potter. Abaya said if you take it out with your hand, you're chayev, the kli potter. Rava Omer biyad potter, with the hand you are potter. The kli chayev, with the kli you're chayev. Right? So you see that it's the opposite of the newer opinion. So the Gemara says, Epoch, and we switch it, right? And switch the shitas. Yeah? So that's what we're saying. Now, that's interesting, because what do you mean? The Gemara is asking a stira from Abaya to Abaya, Rava to Rava. Right? Maybe this member of Abaya and Rava was said before they changed their mind and there's no kasha. Right? Again, Abaya and Rava had a machlokes. Then the Gemara says that they changed their mind. Right? And now we ask a kasha from a time that they both said the opposite. Maybe that came from before they changed their mind. Right? So that Taisus discusses that, and he says, Kim le l'shas, the second Taisus down, says, Kim le l'shas, the hach milsa d'maisi, itmar boser d'hadabu. The Shas obviously knew that this new member of Abaya and Rava was new one after they changed their mind, so therefore the Gemara has the right to ask the question. Even though theoretically, if you could just answer and say, no, it came from before, which is maybe what the Gemara is answering, because the Gemara says Epoch. What do you mean switch it? Maybe why don't you just say it came from before? The Gemara chose not to answer that. Okay, so Biyad Chayiv, now this goes all the way back to the first Mishna in Shabbos. So Gemara is saying is a Biyad, you'd be Chayiv, meaning in the hand, we look at it like it's a box, but not Pashat Balabayas is Yodei L'chutz, if the Balabayas stuck his hand out to the outside, but not the Lani Mitoicha, and the Ani took it from there, or he put it into his hand. And he brought it in Shnei and Peturin, they're both potter. So obviously you see from our Mishnah that putting something into somebody's hand is not called putting it down, right? So Gemara answers, Hasan Lamala Migimel. There, it was above 3, so therefore putting it in the hand is nothing. Hacha Lamata Migimel. Here was below 3. The person's hand was below 3, so therefore we say that we say lavud, so it's as if it's on the ground, and therefore they're going to be chayiv even with the hand, but not because of the hand, but because the hand is considered on the floor, right? Which I think the Gemara there ends up saying that's one of the cases. Okay, fine. Zog the Mishnah. Now this Mishnah, it's interesting because there's nothing brought in Shulchan Aruch about this Mishnah. But the Maisa, I'm sorry, Yeshua Marcha, with this Mishnah is an important Mishnah b'negeya to all the b'di'evet shilas that come up on Shabbos, okay, and in ways out of it. Okay, so let's see the Mishnah. Hamoitzi bein b'yaminoi bein b'smailoi. If you take something out, whether it's in your right hand, your left hand, b'soi cheikoi, on your how do you touch cheikoi? In your shoulders. Right? Oh no, that's the cheka is sort of like in your chest. If you carry right in the chest, on your shoulders, chayav shekain masa b'nei kahos. That's the way the b'nei kahos carry, right? Which grad is this week's parsha. Today was it this week's or last week's? It was this week's. No, the beginning.
Yeah, this week's.
Yeah. So okay. So Baruch Hashem. Kilachar yadoi. If he took it out with the back of his hand, this is the important part. Kilachar yadoi. If he took it out with the back of his hand, beragloi with his foot, bepib with his mouth, bemarpakoi under his arm, beoznoi with his ear. But actually, marpakoi is a machlokes Rashi Tosis exactly how to touch that. Beoznoi with the ear, besaroi in your hair, bepundasoi, and with your upia lamata. It's pundasoi is a money belt, and the mouth is facing down, where obviously all the money is going to fall out. Right, or between the money belt and his clothing, and in the edge of his clothing, in his shoes, in his sandal, potter. Why are you potter? Because you didn't take it out the way the Mitzian take it out. Basically, what this is called in the Shabbos, it's called with a shinui. Anytime you take something out with a shinui, it's not an issa daraisa, and therefore you're potter. So therefore, if somebody has to carry a gun, l'mashal in Yonah D'Yoma, let's say somebody has to carry a gun, or somebody has to carry medication, this or that, and there's no eruv. So we always say to carry with a shinoi, right? Carry it in your shoe, carry it in between your clothing, in a way that's not normal, because then you would downgrade it from a deraisa to a rabbanon. Again, potter means you're not allowed to do it, but if you did it, you are potter, which we would allow in shasat chak situations. We do allow that, right? So that's called shinu. Fine. If you carry out a load above 10 tefachim, you're chayev. Because that was the way the bnei kahos carried the mishkan. And how do we know the masa bnei kahos did that? On the mishkan and on the mizbeach, around the mizbeach. Makish mizbeach and mishkan, we make a comparison from the mizbeach to the mishkan. Ma mishkan yud amas, af mizbeach yud amas. Just like the mishkan is 10 amas, so to the mizbeach.
I'm sorry. So if you carried a briefcase, you'd be potter, because it's under 10 amas. It's under 10 tefachim.
No, it's saying, I think what it's saying is even if you carry it above 10 tefachim. Not you have to. I think even. Oh, isn't that the Islam's learning it? That's why I learned it. I don't know if that's...
Okay.
I thought you were going to ask a different kasha, because from the first parak, if you throw it above 10 tefachim, you're potter. Right? So this is above 10 tefachim. Right? So Rashi asks that actually, and Rashi says that that throwing, we look at it like it's above. When it's carrying, we don't care about it. If your feet are rooted to the ground and you're carrying it above 10, then that you still chayav. It's only for throwing. If it goes out of your hand, then it's no problem above 10 tefachim. Anyways, so again, the chsiv al mishkan val mizbeach savah makish mizbeach lemishkan. You compare the mizbeach to the mishkan. Ma mishkan yud amas af mizbeach yud amas. Just like the mishkan was 10 amas tall, so the mizbeach was yud amas. So mishkan kufay min olam. And how do you know the mishkan was 10? The chsiv eser amas oirach hakeresh. The length of a keresh was 10. Uksiv vayifrosh es oil ala mishkan. Vayifrosh es oil ala mishkan. They spread out the the tent above the Mishkan. Rav Moshe Rabbeinu Parsu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the one that spread it out. From this you learn out that the height of Leviim was 10 amas, which is quite tall. The kol tuna, the midli, any load that they were carrying on poles, right? The way they carried the poles on their shoulders, right? I think the Kedem wine bottle has those people carrying the grapes, right? I hope Zoila knows what I'm talking about. I think it still has it on the Kedem wine bottle, no? People carrying grapes. Either way, when you carry on your shoulders, right? One guy in the front, one guy in the back, and they have something on their shoulders, right? So, I'm sorry again, but Gemara, we learn out the kol tuna, the middle of the any load that you're carrying on poles, tilsa milael or trey tilsa milatachas. 1/3 of the load goes above the shoulders, and 2/3 of or the poles, which is essentially the same thing. But trey tilsa milael, 2/3 go under the poles. So therefore, ishtakach have a midli tuba. So you see that they must have carried it very high. That's one. So that's one way you learn it out. You learn out from the Aron. Okay, so I didn't explain. The reason why the Leviim were 10 amas, because if the Leviim were the ones that spread the oil, right, the tent around the Mishkan, so you only can do that if you're 10 amas tall. That's otherwise the meaning. The Mishkan was 10 amas. How are you getting it across the entire Mishkan unless you yourself are 10 amas tall? Then you could just reach to the top and then put it over. So that's the first shot. That's the first shot that we know that it's 10 tefachim. Viva is Emem Oren. Tamar Mar Oren Tisha, a kapyrus tefach. The Oren was 9, and the kapyrus, the cover, was a tefach. Areikan Yud. That's 10. Ukamiri, the kol tuna, the middle of your mitzvah is tilsa milel, but trey tilsa milera. And we learned out that any load that you're carrying on sticks, so 1/3 is on top and 2/3 on the bottom. Ishtaka to the malam yud have a koi. Right? What's Lamala Miyud. So the Gemara asks for Ligmar mi Moshe. Why don't we just learn it out from Moshe? So Dilma Moshe Shani. Maybe Moshe is different. The Shechina only dwells on top of somebody who's a chacham and he's strong and he's wealthy and he has height. Right?
Can we just say that we learned out Levium because of Moshe's size? And now we're going to ask the question on Moshe being that tall?
I don't think we're asking that Moshe is that tall. Huh?
But he's the one spreading it out.
That was footnote 27 in the art scroll.
Footnote what?
Saying that we're learning out that the Levium, Moshe was tall, so therefore all the Levium must have been tall also.
No, I think what he's asking is, man,
how do we know Levium were tall?
Right.
All the Levium were tall? How?
Question here, we're not asking why that Moshe was told. We're asking why does you need another pshat? What was wrong with learning from Moshe? I mean, we had 2 pshatim. What? Okay, so the first pshat says we learn it from Moshe. The second pshat learns it from Aaron. So the Gemara is asking, but Moshe. It's an interesting question because the Gemara always brings 2 pshatim. It never asks why you have to say a second pshat. But here the Gemara is asking, why are you saying a second pshat? Learn it out from Moshe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we say, no, but maybe you can't learn it out from Moshe. Goof of what you're saying. Maybe you can learn it out from Moshe because Moshe was different. Meaning maybe all the other Levium were not as tall as Moshe. Yeah?
No, but they seem to be saying that Moshe, we learned out that they're all that tall because of Moshe.
They had to be, because Moshe only did it the first time. They did it the rest of the times it went up and went down.
What?
Moshe didn't spread out the thing every time. He did it the first time.
You asking a question?
I'm saying Moshe didn't do it every time.
No, the reason why we need the Gemara is saying now, why do we need a second pshat? Because maybe you can't learn out that all of them were tall like Moshe. Because maybe Moshe had to, because Moshe was with the Shechina, so the Shechina doesn't dwell only on.
No, but I'm asking the first pshat that all of them were tall because of the Mishkan spreading out the brachas.
I hear. It's a good.
Want to have
What?
I didn't hear.
They couldn't have ladders.
No, that was another. I was wondering that too. Why couldn't they have ladders? Right? Anybody that question? Why couldn't they have ladders? They didn't necessarily have to be 10 tefachim high. Just put on a ladder. I don't know. I don't know the pshat. Okay, right. So Amar Rav Mishum Reb Chia. Hamoitzi Masli b'Shabbos al Roishoy Chayev Chatas. Somebody who carries a load on his head is Chayev Chatas. Why? Shekain Anshe Hutzel Oisin came. Because the people Hutzel do this. Anshe Hutzel Ruba Alma. So because one nation that does this, that carries loads on their head, therefore that's considered derech. This is, I don't want to say this is an important Gemara, but it's a with the same thing that we were discussing last week and on Friday with Batla Daita Yetzer Koladam. Meaning, how do you define shinui? Every country has their own way of carrying things. Meaning, if most people carry, let's say carrying a gun, right? So, or let's say somebody who's not an atzala needs to carry a radio for whatever reason. So, do we say that carrying it on his waistband is the normal way to carry a atzala radio, or is that an abnormal way? Meaning, different places probably carry their guns. Some carry on their ankle, some carry on their waist. Right? So do we go with each town by itself, or do we say each one is chayiv? How does it go? So the Gemara seems to be saying here that if you carry a load on your head, that's considered a regular way, and you're gonna be chayiv because the people of Hutzel did it. So Gemara says, is Hutzel the whole world? Just because one little nation carries that way doesn't mean it's normal for everybody else to do it. Again, be'anshe Hutzel ruba da alma. Are the people of Hutzel roiv the world? This is what it must be. Amar Rav Mishum Reb Chia echad b'bnei Hutzel shahoitzi maaseh al roisha b'Shabbos chayev. So one of the people from Hutzel that carries a load on his head of Shabbos is chayev. Shekain b'nei Iroi oisen kain, because the people of his city do it. So meaning, if you are from a city where they carry the guns only on their ankle, and you for whatever reason carried it on your waist, then that's not the derech. Then you're going to be okay. Right, but if you're part of a city that carries it on the waist, and you carry it on the waist, then it's going to be a problem. Meaning, the Gemara is basically saying now that each city gets its own, what's its own derech and what it's not a derech.
Minigamakan.
Right? Basically, it's minigamak. Very good. Right, exactly. It's minigamak.
What about if you, what?
Is that what the Kiddush is here?
Well, we're going to get to it.
Well, I thought the Gemara was Echad Ibnei Hutzel, that carries on his head, is something that they don't usually carry on their head, no?
No, then why would you buy it?
Because it's a normal way to carry in Hutzel, is on your head. Doesn't matter what you carry.
Right.
Oh, so usually they would carry boxes. If they're schlepping a box somewhere, they carry it on their heads.
Right.
This guy wanted to carry an...
No, it's going to be whatever load he carries, since it's the regular derech from them to carry
envelope somewhere. He put it on his head and carried it. Presumably there are things that they don't put on their head. But the chiddush is that since it's something that wouldn't usually be carried on their head, since it's a normal way to carry in Hutzel, that's not considered a shinui.
Right, and a chanami. So right, so the people from Hutzel, or from Hutzel, derech. That is the derech. Carry on. What do you want to say, Zev?
Nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Gemara asks, but the battle died to Yetzer Kol Adam. Why don't we say his das is bottled to everybody? Meaning, why are we saying minagamokum? It should be bottled to what the regular people do. The Gemara changes it. Somebody who carries on his head is taka potter. If you're going to say, well, what do the people of Hutzel do this? So then your das will be bottled eitzel kol adam. Right, so now we're changing it. Until now we're saying maybe it's tali minagamokum, and now we're saying no. We're saying really you're potter, and the reason why you're potter is because that's not the regular derech. And you can say go with anshe hut. So we say no, bottle that's it's a koladam. So therefore it's not. He's not going to be chayiv. So then the obvious question is, bottom line is, somebody from Hutzel is chayiv now or not? Gemara's havamina was they were. Now are we saying that they are or not? So Tosfos says it's mashma that on that town also you're going to say batadad, meaning even the people from Hutzel, they will not be chayiv, because since most of the world doesn't do it, then it's not going to be. Then it's not normal. But then Tosfos asks a kasha on there from other Gemaras and Shas, right? So the Gemara, Tosfos has a very interesting answer and has a lot of ramifications in halacha l'maisa, right? That's if you had the opportunity to do it, then and you don't do it that way, then you're not considered. Then it's considered not like that derech. Meaning, so for the carrying, everybody has the ability to carry a load on the head. Since most of the world doesn't carry a load on the head, therefore you're going to be potter, even the anshe hutzah. But let's say it's something that Taisus talks about squeezing, right? So you're not allowed to squeeze out fruits on Shabbos, which we're going to have in Bez Hashem in around 2 months, right? In the Gemara. So squeezing out fruits on Shabbos, really it's only grapes. What does it go? Grapes and olives, right? Everything else don't. But if it's the minig hamokum to squeeze out other fruits, then it would be considered deraisa, which is why nowadays it's much more chomer because we have fruits, we have drinks from all types of fruits. Either way, so Taisus says that if most of the world has the Gemara is talking about pomegranates there. So if Taisus answers, if most of the world has pomegranates and nobody squeezes it out, so then that we look at the whole world that they don't squeeze out pomegranates. But you can't bring a raya if most of the world doesn't have pomegranates. Then you can't say that the minig hamakam is not to squeeze pomegranates because maybe if the whole world did have pomegranates, then they would squeeze them out, right? You know what I'm saying? Meaning, it's minig hamakam is totally if the whole world has the opportunity to do it that way and they don't do it. It's interesting because I was learning this plot this morning. And then I was learning Hilchas Bishul Akum, which we know the Bishul Akum, one of the requirements of Bishul Akum is that it has to be going on a king's table. So the Paiskim quote, well, you have different types of kings. You can have a king in America, or a president, and you could have a president in Africa. Does it go with all kings all over the world, or do you go with each one's minig? So they quote this Taisus, the Paiskim quote this Taisus to say that it depends on if they even have the ability to have that type of food, right? Okay, whatever it is, but the bottom line is normally we include the entire world. You have to look at the entire world with this.
What do you do in a town that they do both?
You'd have to be machmer. There's a Rebbe Kiva Eger that says when you're talking about Beged Isha, like men can wear women's things and women wear men's things, so it's totally in the minig. Rabbi Kiva Eger there says that you even take goyim into account. You take goyim into account, not only Yidden, which is also an interesting shot.
Doesn't the Gemara say that goyim are not included in the equation?
In goyim not included in what?
They're not an equation of how we do psak usually, no?
No, it's not. We're not pasking. We're just looking for the minig hamakam. What is the derech? What's not the derech? Meaning, I think Lefira Rebbe Kiva Eger, if goyim carry on top of their head, they would also be part of how the minig hamakam is. Okay, whatever it is, but that's an important Taisus when it comes to deciding minig hamakam. Okay, zog the Mishna weiter. It's getting later. So this continues in all the different ways of carrying. So what we know with the regular rules in Hilchos Shabbos is that everything is based on intent, right? If you intended to do something one way and it went another way, you're not chayav in Shabbos, right? And we said basically the reason for that is, and this is basic in Hilchos Shabbos, which unfortunately many people are not aware of this, and it should really be sung from the rooftops that this is the rule, because people just don't get it. But part of doing Hilchos Shabbos, it's not work, right? Like we always say, that driving to shul on Shabbos is a lot easier than walking. So why don't we just all drive to shul? It's a lot less work. If Shabbos is a day of rest, why don't we just drive? Right? Because it has to fit into it's not resting. What we're trying to do is rest from what the work was done in the Mishkan. By doing that, by resting from the work that was done in the Mishkan, we're acknowledging that the Mishkan is Hashem's world, Hashem's place in this world, and therefore by doing that, we're acknowledging that Hashem rested on Shabbos. That's all it has to do with. It's a hashkafic thing. It's not that Shabbos is a day of rest. So therefore, one of the things was that you had to do it with the intention of, in the Mishkan, everything was done with an intended consequence. If you do something on Shabbos that was unintended, even if you did it half intended, but it wasn't done the way you wanted, so since in the Mishkan it wasn't done like that, so therefore you're not going to be chayav for it on Shabbos either. You're going to be pot, it's assur to do it that way, but you're going to be potter midaraisa, right? So one of them is kavanah. So that's what says the Mishna. If you have kavanah to carry something in front of you, right? You have a money wallet, and the money was supposed to go in the front of you. And then it got pushed to the back of you. So then potter, you're a potter. If it went from the back to the front, then you're chayiv, which Gemara is going to discuss what should be the difference. So I mean, in both cases, his intent was not done. I mean, at least half of his intent wasn't done. It wasn't done the way he wanted to. So Gemara says, Mishna says, a woman who is got a belt on her, has some sort of belt, whether it goes in front of her or whether it goes behind her, she's chayiv. Shekain roi liyos. Right? Shekain roi liyos chayzer, because that's the way it is. Meaning, a woman who's carrying this belt, whatever it is that she's carrying on it, it's meant to fly around. It goes from the back of her to the front of her, back around. So since that's the regular derech, that's the intensity, but she's going to be chayiv. Even those that are taking their, I guess they would be, it literally means they were makabel letters, but it means letter carriers, right? So since they're always running, so it's their derech that it just flies around also. So therefore, it doesn't make a difference whether it goes to the front or it goes to the back. Okay, so Zokti Gemara, Mishna lefanav of the potter. How come we're saying that if it's in the front of him, or it goes to the back of him, is potter delayis avid machshavtoi? That's the main words right there, because his machshava was not done, meaning his machshava was to carry it in front of him, and it ended up behind him. When it goes from the back of him and then it goes to the front of him, it's also his machshava wasn't done. So Rav Elazar Tavra, right? Literally means Tavra means broken, right? But it means it's a stira. Misha shenazu, la shenazu. No, the one, it's two different opinions. One says this one, and one says that one. Right? Amar Rava, umay kusha. Rava says, what's the question? Dilma lefanav la'acharav. Maybe when it's in front of him, it goes to the back of him. Hainu time of the potter. The reason why it's potter is nischaven l'shmira ma'ulav. Also, the other shmira pchusa. When the money's in front of you, it's obviously watched a lot better than when the money's behind you, right? So therefore, if you didn't do it, your carrying was not with the same quality if it was in front of you and went to the back of you. But if it's behind you, which is not watched so well, and it comes to in front of you, I know time of the chayav. The reason why you chayav then is chayav the shmira pchusa, because you had kavanah to do a not such a good shmira, but also the other shmira ma'ula, and then he ended up with a shmira ma'ula, right? So okay. So now he has a good answer. So he says elamai kusha. So then what's the question? So we say diyuk the masnis and kasha. The diyuk of the Mishna is a kasha. If you have kavanah to carry it in front of you, and it goes behind you, you potter mashma that if you had it behind you and it went and it stayed behind you, then you're going to be chayiv. Then aim was safer. But let's look at the safer. When it's behind you and it goes to in front of you, that's when you chayiv. But it's mashma that if it was behind you and it stayed behind you, you potter. So meaning there's just the stira in what each one is mashma. The reish is mashma that if it stays behind you, you're chayiv, and the safe is mashma that if it stays behind you, you're potter. So Rav Elazar Tavra, that's a broken thing, and it's a contradiction. And Misha Shinazu, La Shinazu, the one who learned this one didn't learn this one. So then Amar Rav Ashi, my kushi, what's the kasha? Dilma loimi bay kama. Maybe it's a loimi bay. Loimi bay la'acharav the chayiv. I don't need to tell you that if he meant to carry it behind him, and it stayed behind him, that he's chayiv this avi the machshavde because what he intended to do was done. Even if it was behind him and it came in front of it, I need to tell you the chiddush amina. I would have thought since his machshava wasn't done, he shouldn't be chayiv kamash malon. Then his chaven l'shmir mechutzav also be other shmir mula the chayiv. If he had kavanah for a less of a shmira, and he ended up with a better shmira, meaning he had kavanah for it to be behind him, which is not so great, and then it moved to the one in front of him, then he's going to be chayiv. Yeah? Fine. So then the Gemara says, and carrying out this wallet behind you, and it stays behind you, is actually machlokes tanoim. If you carry out money, not from this mission we learned in Amud Aleph. If you carry out money in your wallet, and the mouth of the wallet is up, facing up, so chayiv. Why? Because that's the regular derech. Piyalamata, if its mouth is towards the bottom, which means the money could potentially fall out. Yehuda is chayiv and Chacham say potter. Amalan of Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda said to the tefachim, aren't you agreeing to me that if he meant to carry it out behind him and it stayed behind him, then he would be chayav. And they told him back, aren't you moided to me that if you take it with the back of your hand or your foot, then you're potter? Right? So carrying a wallet upside down is not the derech. So they both have very strong questions on each other. I said one thing, they said one thing. I can't find an answer to their words. Right? And they can't find an answer to me. Meaning, and so they both have their opinions and both have kashas. Yeah? Fine. So I actually took I took a little musar out of this with this whole, everybody's getting, of course we have to bring it into the whole situation, right? But everybody saying, oh, this rabbi says go inside minyanim, this one says outside, social distancing, not social distancing. They have their opinions, and there are good kashas on both opinions, right? There are good kashas that don't necessarily have terutzim, right? Okay, I'm saying, but the Maisa, you have to take a stance somehow, somewhere, and there's going to be kashas all the way around. It doesn't mean that anybody is being an oisfar. Yeah? Anyway, so midika Omar, lahu, iyata moiden. This that they both said, aren't you moide, la mechlal de potter rabbanan. Can we see from there that the rabbanan say potter? Then according to you, the amrile iyata moide, but if you go with that, then Chachamim said to him, aren't you moide, mechlal de mechayev Rabbi Yehuda? Then can't we infer that Rabbi Yehuda would be mechayev on the wallet facing down? But didn't we learn that everybody holds it if you carry it behind your hand or over your feet? Everybody holds it potter, right? So therefore, it can't be that was the disagreement. Everybody holds it was behind you the wallet and it stayed behind your chayev. If it's behind your hand and behind your foot, everybody holds it potter. Their machlokes is where the wallet is facing down. One compares it to la'acharov. That's Rabbi Yehuda, right? Was it Rabbi Yehuda? Yeah. It's compared. A wallet facing down is like compared la'acharov or la'acharov, meaning because la'acharov is not a good shmira, and you ended up doing it anyways. So the pilamat is the same thing. The other one compares it, the Chum compared to la'achar yada v'ragli, and therefore they say it is potter, since that's not the derech to carry it out. Fine. We said a woman could go, meaning with the Isha's going to be chayav because her wallet bounces around, goes from behind her to in front of her. Tana kol be'emes halacha. We learned that every time it says be'emes, that means that is the halacha. Even though people that carry the mail, the people from the people from the malchus, the people that the king sent out as messengers would do that. That's the way they carry it out. So therefore, it's therefore they're going to be high because that's the derech. Okay, I guess we'll call it a night over here. Fine. Have yourselves a good night and stay safe.
Shavua tov, everybody. Peretz, I'll be there in a few minutes.
Yes.
I don't think, is he on? No.
Where's Shmuley?
Shmuley was on?
Shmuley Galaxy S8 is Shmuley.
Oh, that's Shmuley? Why put his name on?
Because I have to do video then, but I was in the gym, so I didn't want to do video.
Shmuley, they're playing with the BB gun.
I showed my wife that your kid's playing with the gun in the middle of the Daf Yomi Shabbos. It's very good.
Hi, Shmuley.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you.
Oh, it's a BB gun, okay. But you have a sight on it.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, Shmuley. How are you?
Hi, good.
Yes,
Wow, we can't see you, Mom.
Hold on, I'm trying to.